Not too long ago, I did a video on 10 fragrances that I overspray heavily. They're on the weaker side. A lot of them trend in the summer fragrance direction, and so I apply them heavier oftentimes as well to combat them wearing off, whether it be from just sweating or swimming, things of that nature. Today I'm going to be going over 10 fragrances that you really only need a couple sprays of though. So these are significantly stronger than the ones in that video that I just did recently. Now, one thing we'll get out there front and center, can you do more than 2 sprays of these? Yes, absolutely. Should you do more than 2 sprays of these? You very well could, and you'll have really no issues with that. Maybe if you're doing, 15, 20 sprays, you're going to run into some problems where, you're just going to be that guy and not in a good way. But you could do 5, 6 sprays with pretty much all of these here, and you're not going to be too offensive to people. However, I'm doing this video to show you that it is possible to only do a couple of sprays. Not everyone wants to buy a new bottle of something expensive on a frequent basis. So if you're trying to stretch your dollar a little bit more, trying to get the best bang for your buck, you're trying to make these go as far as they can go, you can get away with doing 2 sprays on the minimum with these. They're going to give you plenty of longevity and projection, and you're going to get amazing results without having to dump a ton of it on yourself. So if you're looking for good performers and things that are going to go a long way and overall are going to be great investments, this one's going to be for you. You're not going to have to overspray these like crazy in order to get any results, which is pretty nice. I'll drop links to these down below. Anytime I'm referencing prices, it's going to be on discounters. Make sure you're checking those out. I also have a mailing list you can sign up to. Anytime something rare, discontinued, hard to find comes into stock, or just something that's a really good deal comes up, I send out a mailing email to you guys. A lot of times the discounter notifications don't work for when something comes into stock, so I'm coming in to try to, mitigate that problem in order to give you guys an opportunity to pick up some amazing deals. So make sure you hit that first link down below and sign up. Let's get things kicked off with 1 Million ELIXIR by PACO RABANNE. This is a really nice flanker. As they're continuing to produce these flankers, they're discontinuing old ones. Privé, Lucky, things of that nature are going away or have gone away already. Like Privé has been quite hard to get for some time now. So they're going to continue to rotate these in and out. This is one of the more current ones that you can get on discounters easily, and it's a great performer, really, like most of them. It's got vanilla, tonka bean, and apple in here. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's nowhere near the level of Privé and Lucky, in my opinion. However, being that those are getting harder to get and have risen in price drastically, this is going to be one of the in-production ones that's going to offer you great performance, great mass appeal, overall general great versatility in the cooler months. And if you are wanting to kind of stretch your dollar a little bit, a couple sprays is all you need with it. Now, this next one is also relatively hard to get sometimes. Every time this one shows up, I send out an email to my mailing list. So really, if you're just watching there, it's not too difficult. It's a little bit pricey though. Right now, it's $228 for 50 ml, which is expensive, but not when you take a look at just how rare it is, and also the fact that it is a Tom Ford private blend. It's tobacco oud. So besides the obvious there's some whiskey thrown in as well. So it's boozy, it's woody, it's smoky, it's sweet. It's actually a little bit animalic also. This is definitely not for everybody. Blind buy beware. Now, with that being said, this is an interesting one because of its availability and the fact that it is so rare oftentimes. If you were to blind buy it and decide it's not for you, you're not going to have a hard time getting rid of the bottle for what you paid for it, or potentially even more if you bought it on a really good deal. So from that aspect, it would be easier to blind buy, but from the scent standpoint, no, not at all. I guess if you know what you're into, you're okay with something a little bit animalic, you like tobacco and oud, you like some booziness, then it would be a no-brainer. But from someone coming over from freshies, aquatics, and things of that nature, this is a completely different scent altogether. However, it is an incredible performer. A couple sprays is all you need. And this one is one in particular where if you were to do just a boatload of sprays, you will probably get some looks, most of which on the negative side of things. So be careful with it. A little goes a long way. It's a great one to have though. Next up, we have KILIAN Angel's Share. This one has praline, some vanilla, some tonka bean. There's some cognac in here. Boozy, very sweet, kind of syrupy, great for evenings out, great wintertime scent. Has a really nice kind of burnt, vanillic, almost chestnutty type of smell to it, even though I don't think chestnut is officially listed. Could be wrong on that one. But it kind of has that going on. Very gourmand, very photorealistic, and you know, this is what KILIAN does best. I have a lot from the brand, just about all of them, not quite, but just about. And they do boozy, sweet, gourmand scents, just the best. They are some of my favorites. This one is also very good. It's a great performer. It's very strong, both in projection and longevity. A little goes a long way. We're going to switch gears completely. I know we've been covering winter scents up until this point so far, and we're, you know, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're coming out of winter, going into warmer months. So this one will be more suitable for where we're headed right now. It's RASASI HAWAS. It's got plum, watery notes, apple, bergamot, ambroxan, or ambergris, and just notes of that variety. Some musk in here as well. It's Invictus Aqua smelling, and it's a really, really well done summertime playful scent. The plum gives this one a uniqueness that other Invictus Aqua smelling things do not have. It's vibrant, it's juicy, it's multifaceted as well. This is not a two-dimensional, bland, basic scent. There are some fragrances out there that are trying to do a similar thing to this DNA that smell very flat and don't really have a whole lot going for them. But when you actually wear this one and you give it a chance and you kind of break it down, you notice almost each time you wear it, something different about it. You know, it kind of evolves as it goes on your skin. You know, you really go through the different stages and discover new things about it. And that's what I like about this one. Believe it or not, it's an interesting wear if you give it a chance. It's great for summertime, very playful, relaxing, uplifting. It just gives off good feelings overall. And it's very strong. You don't need a lot of it. Now, if you're going to be going swimming or things of that nature, or just, you know, you're going to be outside for a long period of time, then 2 sprays, more than 2 sprays would definitely be preferential. But for general wear, going to the grocery store, going to school, going to work, if you want to stretch your dollar, 2 sprays is really all you need. Speaking of plum, we're going to throw in another plum scent because I think that note is highly underutilized. What's funny though is this next one is almost a polar opposite of what we were just talking about. Just goes to show how different fragrance notes and accords can be used in completely different scents. It really is kind of cool when you think about it sometimes. Low Medial Extreme by Guerlain. Now, besides that plum, it's got tobacco, almond. So the almond accord is, you know, what makes this line what it is, and it's there. Tonka bean as well. I do think some vanilla, but really it's all about the plum, tobacco, almond. It's powdery, it's dusty, smoky, creamy, fruity, which is interesting. Done in a really nice way. The plum is a sweeter, fruity accord, which really makes this one stand out. Like I'd mentioned, that note isn't used a ton, so every time it is brought up, it really does something new and exciting to the composition overall. One of my favorite flankers in the line, bar none. I mean, it is so good, and it really kind of does a good job of separating itself from the eau de parfum and the l'intense and things of that nature. Enough to where it's not, you know, redundant, but at the same time, it also isn't completely different. I think they struck a perfect balance here with this. It's got a great performance. A couple sprays is all you need. If you want to go heavier to get maybe some more projection out of it, maybe to get noticed more, there's no problem with that. This isn't an overly offensive scent. But if you're trying to save money, if you're trying to make your bottle go a long way, because this one is kind of hard to get sometimes, then you just need a couple sprays. Similar deal with this. Each time it comes in stock, I send out an email. So as long as you're watching there, it's not too hard to get. It shows up relatively often, but it does sell pretty quick. Next up, one of my favorites from this niche brand in particular. Now this one's right around $100, $101, $102 last time I looked for 120 ml. It's a flanker, it's an extrait concentration, it's an intense, and it revives a very successful DNA that really put this brand in particular on the map. It's MANCERA Intense CEDRAT BOISE. So this is it right here. CEDRAT BOISE, the eau de parfum, was my first ever niche purchase, and it's one of my favorites. I mean, if you've seen my bottle before, it's down low. I've worn a ton of it. It works so well for me. Great performance out of that eau de parfum. I've never had an issue with it, although I have seen where some people have. But this one fixes any issue that you may ever have with performance. It is incredibly strong. It takes that DNA and just amps it up, makes it more interesting. A little touch of oud in here, not too much to throw it off, but just slightly. It really does something good for the composition overall. Like I had mentioned, right around $100 on discounters for this. I mean, that is more affordable than some designer scents out there. So when you factor in the quality, the performance, the uniqueness, even the presentation, nice magnetic cap on these newer style bottles here instead of a little twist off, you get great value, and there's no reason not to have this. And you get an extra 20 ml. Most designers out there that are a little bit more than this are hundreds. So, I mean, all in all, this is one to get. And speaking of a designer that is 100 ml and even on discounters more expensive than this by, I don't know, maybe $15, sometimes $20. And at retail, significantly more expensive than that, even though the retail price of the MANCERA is more expensive than this. It's kind of confusing, but overall, this one's still more expensive if you're shopping solely on discounters, but it's why Eau de Parfum Intense. So kind of getting that ramble out of the way, that stupid, kind of pointless ramble, but this kind of proves my point. On discounters, I think right now 115 or so, retails for like, I don't know, 140. It's not to say that you should not buy this because it's more expensive than a MANCERA. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to highlight the value of some of those MANCERAs. But this one in particular is quickly becoming one of my favorite Y flankers. The Eau de Parfum, the Les Parfums are amazing. I will always love those. I will always wear those. I've got a ton of wearings out of both. Y Live, Y Eau Fresh, and the Eau de Toilette, not so much. It's not that I don't like them, but it's like, okay, why would I wear those when I have the Eau de Parfum, the Les Parfums? You guys probably kind of feel a similar way. But the Eau de Parfum Intense, I thought was going to be similar, where I'm like, I'm sure I'll like it, but will I wear it more? The answer has been yes, very much so. I've been wearing it a lot. The bottle is not going to, I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it. It's always hard to show with these darker bottles. I can see it, I don't know if you can, but there's a dent. It's not a huge dent. I have a lot to test, I have a lot to wear, but this is significantly lower than most of my new release bottles right now for good reason. Why have I been wearing this one more? Why do I like it more? Simply because it takes that appley, strong sweetness out of the Eau de Parfum and the Les Parfums. I like that aspect, but sometimes it's a bit too much. This one makes it even more aromatic, even more mature, even more refined. I think it is a well done, genius flanker. The execution here was amazing. This is, I think, on par with what a lot of people would like to see out of Y. Just that sweetness dialed back, the aromatics brought forward even more. That's what this one does. The performance also is amazing. Just like with the Eau de Parfum and the Les Parfums, a little goes a long way. You can overspray it and do great, but if you are a little bit, cringing each time you spray this because you spend a lot of money on it, then it's no problem. A couple sprays will have you set. And this next one especially is very expensive, even on discounters, 150, 160. It's very strong. It's crazy strong. Probably one of the strongest in this video. It's actually SAUVAGE ELIXIR by DIOR, so it's expensive. A couple sprays is going to have you set. This is one where I would say if you were going to heavily overspray it, might also get you into trouble. It's nowhere near the youthful, mass appealing, youthful, young kind of modern style of SAUVAGE. Now, to that point, if you were to overspray SAUVAGE like super heavily, you're not going to be having the best look either. But this one also, all the nutmeg, the licorice, the sandalwood, the cinnamon, just all the warm spices will become overbearing, especially now as we're heading into the warmer months. You want to be careful with this, you really don't need a lot of it, and that's a good thing, again, because it's expensive. It is not going to be fun to repurchase this. I will probably never run through this because I have Lattafa Assad, $25 clone, also could have been in the video, and I don't spray this heavily to begin with, but it wouldn't be one that I'd be looking forward to purchase again. So you can get away with just going with a few sprays, a light dusting, and it'll be more than enough. Running down to the end with Dolce & Gabbana, the One Mysterious Night. So one of their exclusive editions, one of the less popular ones, primarily because it's all about the rose and the oud in here. It's those two notes that kind of get people, There's a lot of amber as well, which makes sense because it's the one, and a little bit of kind of a sandalwood woodiness along with that oud, but it's all about the rose oud, so be careful with it. A lot of you guys probably won't be rocking with this. Makes total sense. It's not one of my favorites either. You know, I generally will go for Royal Night, Luminous Night over this. However, this one does have probably the best performance out of all of them. It's pretty close. Luminous Night also does really well, but this one also, with that base, that rose oud, it really hangs on for a long time, and it also has a pretty potent smell, like not only projection, but the potency of the rose and oud makes this one pierce through the air, even more so than Luminous and Royal. Those are much more smooth and creamy, heavy focus on sandalwood. This one is more piercing. So overall, you can get away with less with this one and you'll be set. Last up for this video, we have Carolina Herrera Bad Boy Le Parfum. So it's easy to hate on the line. The bottles are, you know, kind of taking a page out of the PACO RABANNE book, in my opinion. They're fine, but I do think that I prefer the CH Men and Privé style bottles, a little bit more classy, elegant look. I think that's kind of more on par with the brand. However, I'm not so critical on the bottles. What I would be more so focused on is the scent. The original Bad Boy, not my favorite. Le Parfum is really, really nice. It's got leather. There's cannabis in here. There's some vetiver, some pepper, black pepper. It's spicy. It's kind of animalic as well, just a little bit. Very leathery. Has a kind of a green, aromatic, overall cooling smell, kind of from that cannabis accord. Now, you're not going to be walking around smelling like marijuana when you wear this, so it's one that you can pull off easily. You're not going to have any issues with it. But that note does give it a unique texture, and it separates itself a lot from the original, which to me is quite boring. This is not so much. It kind of is something interesting. It's a little bit fun to wear. It's fun to dive into. It's got great performance as well. You don't need a ton of it. It is kind of sweet. So, you know, you can really save quite a bit of this stuff. You know, just do a couple sprays here and there and you're going to be good. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for me. 10 fragrances you only need 2 sprays of, theoretically. It all depends on skin chemistry and what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to save money, trying to be easy on the wallet, you can get away with a couple sprays. If you're really wanting to stand out and get a ton of projection and a ton of attention, then you'll want more than that, and that's perfectly fine. For most of these, you can get away with some pretty heavy wearing applications and be okay. Some of them, though, you kind of had to be a little bit more careful of. Links will be down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.